With Jesse not in action, Zariah seemed to get some opportunities. What did you see from him?
Yeah, he's taking steps. He got a bunch of reps, which is great. We think he's a talented guy. He just got to gain the experience at that position. Obviously, hasn't played it in high school, so he's gaining experience all the time and gaining confidence. I think he had like 37 reps on Saturday, which is really good. We need to continue some of those young guys, gaining that experience and having some success to build on for the rest of the season and for the future.
James, it seems like Kevon was a little more decisive the last couple of weeks. Is that fair to say? And have you been seeing what you want out of him over the last 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think Kevon's been a little bit more decisive. I also think we've gotten more push. I think we're being more physical up front at the tight end position and the offensive line positions. But I think that's a fair assessment of Kevon. We need him to play well on Saturday. We want to build on it. I think we've made some pretty good steps. I think the other thing we have to do is we got to get some explosive runs. If you really look at our numbers, if we would have a few explosive runs a game, it would change things dramatically. So I think that's the next step for us.
James, what do you think is preventing you from getting those explosive runs, other than the opposing defense, obviously, but are there things that you think you can do better to get that done?
Yeah, I think we got to break more tackles. We got to make people miss, and we got to have enough speed to be able to do it. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Obviously, I think we can be a little bit better on the perimeter and our blocking as well. I think it's all those things. But when we get one-on-one with the safety, we got to be able to make a miss. That's when the big plays happen.
Have you been close? Have you been close on plays that you've seen on
There's
film?
been a few, not as many as I'd like.
Assuming my math's correct, your offense is like 75% passing, 25% on the ground. Are you comfortable with that division, or would you like that to be closer to 50-50?
Yeah, like I have stated in the past, I'm not really concerned about what some people's definition of balance is, which is 50-50. What I want to be able to do is throw it 75% of the time to win it, or be able to run it 75% of the time to win it, depending on what the game needs and what the game calls for. And I wouldn't necessarily say we're able to do that right now. I think our strength is throwing the ball, but we got to continue to work on the other aspects so we're able to do what I just explained.
During the game Saturday, Landon Tangwall looked like he was pretty engaged on the sideline with the clipboard. But what is he doing kind of in those moments, and is that a guy that maybe down the stretch here you guys want to try to work in, or where's he at with his development?
Yeah, there's a number of guys like that. Olu is in that conversation. Landon is in that conversation. Effner's in that conversation. They have shown good things in practice. They're locked in and involved. Obviously, with him being still a true freshman, it's a little bit different. But yeah, we'd love to get those guys some experience. We'd like them to use all four of their games that they have available, if possible. And continue to create some depth at those positions, and also create maybe a little bit more competition.
James, what will it take for one of your running backs to stick out and take on the lead back role? Is it just a matter of consistency, or something else you're looking for?
I think it's what we just got done talking about. We need a few more big plays. We need some explosive runs where we're breaking some tackles and making people miss. That will impact our overall running statistics and efficiency. And it'll also, I think, give them a lot of confidence.
James, we got Nick Tarburton on the call yesterday. Through 9 games, he's happy to be healthy. He's starting role. I mean, can you talk about the importance of him having this kind of year for you in facing what you have at the defensive front?
Yeah, he's been great. Nick's had a long journey here early on with battle and different things that have popped up kind of throughout his career from a health perspective. He's a mature guy. He's a tough guy. I think you guys know we have that like kind of Keystone Award, which is kind of the guy that's kind of the glue behind the scenes, doing his job that maybe doesn't get the fanfare, and he's that guy for us. Does his job. He's physical. He was able to get pressure on the quarterback on Saturday, got a holding call and some other things. So he's very well respected within our program from the coaches and the players.
Keandre hasn't put up a ton of numbers, but I'd say he's had a lot of timely catches, third downs, and things like that. How would you assess how he's done, especially in that maybe third guy role with Jihan?
Yeah, I think that's fair. He's had some timely catches. on drives where maybe we're in a third down situation and he's picked up the crucial third down that's allowed us to go down the field and score a touchdown or whatever it may be. I still think there's a lot of room for improvement with him. He's had some opportunities he's got to take advantage of. But I see him getting better in every way. I know Sean's got a lot of confidence in him as well. I do think when people study us, it's not a one-man show. I feel like they respect those guys on the field, and obviously Parker's shown some flashes, and Keandre is almost there, and we need him. I think he's going to have one of those games at some point where he kind of has his breakout game, and then I think his confidence will skyrocket and go from there.
How important are tackles for loss? Is that one of the things you track? And in a game like this one specifically, where the team likes to run the ball as much, is that an emphasis in the week leading up?
I think it's always an emphasis. I don't know if it's specific this week more than others. I think you obviously always want to get people off schedule, whether that is with sacks or whether that is with tackles for a loss. You want to get people off schedule, and that can put them into more of a predictable situation, which allows you to be more aggressive in your calls to attack whatever situation it may be based on the sticks. So I think it's always important. It's something that we always try to emphasize as much as we possibly can. But I understand your point. When you're playing a team like Michigan that really wants to establish the run, it's magnified.
Hey, James, from 0 to 100%, where would you say the program is these days as far as where you want to be off the field, facilities, support, things like that? How far do you have to go?
Yeah,
knowing it's a moving target.
Yeah, I don't know if I could put a percentage on it without spending some time kind of thinking about that. But I think you guys have heard me talk for a long time, really since I've arrived here, about alignment and about competing 365 days a year. I think that's critical for us. That has to happen. I know the people in that building are doing it. I know the players are doing it. I know the coaches are doing it. But we have to compete in everything. Obviously, college football. You guys know this as well as I do. It is literally competitive and a fist fight 365 days a year, and that's how you have to approach it.
At this point, what other things do you think you need to be competitive in those areas?
I'd prefer to talk about Michigan. I don't want to go on a tangent talking about these other things. I'd like to talk about Michigan and the game, and then when appropriate, postseason or whatever it is, we can talk about all those other things. I'd like to talk about Michigan if possible.
How does a mature quarterback, when you're up against a mature quarterback that does a lot of things that maybe aren't on the field evident well, how does that change how you play? With checks and calls and making sure the negatives don't show.
You talking about like with Sean, or are you talking about with like our opponent?
With your opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, either one, honestly.
Yeah, I think obviously having an experienced quarterback is extremely valuable. You think about the organizations in the NFL that have had a franchise quarterback for a long period of time. They've usually had sustained success, right? And I think an experienced quarterback in college, it's the same way. Sean allows us to do some things based on the things that he's seen and the things he's done. Obviously, the change in offense, that probably takes a little bit of some of those advantages away. But he still played a bunch of football for us. He's been in a bunch of situations, been in a bunch of 2-minute drives, 4-minute drives, comebacks, blowouts, whatever it may be. There's experience that comes with that. Certain pressures, certain looks, certain defensive coordinators. He's gained all those experiences. So there's a bunch of value in that. Also during the week, they may pick up something on film, that you haven't seen. You may have an idea from a game plan perspective. I think all those things are valuable. And then I think the other thing is how they work in the off season with the other players, how they watch film during the season. Getting the whether it's the O-line and going over protections against your opponent that week, or whatever route combinations. You need to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then obviously with Mike's a creative guy, so we typically have a decent amount of new things in each week, and that helps with that too.
2 more.
You guys have always been backed by committee, with Jalen especially. Will you consider, or have you considered maybe kind of trying to let one guy go longer, maybe 3-4 series to see if they can get into a rhythm, or do you feel like kind of a heavy rotation is still the way to go?
No, the same thing I've said every time I've been asked this question about the running back. When somebody makes it obvious that they're the guy, then they'll be the guy.
With Corum and Haskins, assuming Corum's healthy this weekend, how do they differ, and what do you need to do to slow them down?
Yeah, you got
as a defensive back?
You got two different body types, obviously. 25, Haskins is the bigger, more physical guy. But I would say that 2 is explosive and he's more powerful than you think, although he's an undersized guy. They do a really good job of getting the extra yards and falling forward. They're also used in the passing game and do a good job out of the backfield or even from empty formations as well. They do a really good job of keeping those guys involved. They're very, very productive backs. And like we've stated earlier, they're committed to running the ball. So I think they got 2 good backs that everybody in the league respects.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks guys.
Thanks.